What's up, world? You guys are tuned in to episode 11. This and That with Mitch and Matt. As always, I'm Mitch.
And I'm Matt.
And today we got a very special guest with us, Mr. Kevin K.D. Dixie. I like to call him a civil rights activist, a father, a gun trainer. You do what, the Truth series? Is that what your series is called?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you're an all-around, just fucking all-around badass, man. I've seen you work a gun. I've seen you on the range. I've seen some of your videos. So I know I've been yelling at you for weeks now trying to get you on here, so I wasn't about to let it pass up, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man, if you don't care, before, because a lot of our folks may not know a lot about you and kind of what you do. You're a big 2A supporter, I know. So let the folks know what's up, and then we'll get into some shit.
All right, man. I appreciate it. First of all, let me say thank you for the kind words. And if it was not for the turmoil that our country is in right now, we definitely would have made this happen a little sooner. But my name is, like you said, Kevin Dixie. Everybody calls me Katie. I'm a pretty informal guy. I am a firearms instructor. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm from the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri. I am a proud product of the area. So I spent 10 years with the St. Louis City Police Department in our prisoner processing division. That's where I get my formal professional gun training from. That's where it started. And ever since I picked up a gun, walked into that academy, and they had 60, 70 guns laying out, drool came down in my mouth. And I'm like, whatever this is, I want all of it. Whatever is happening here, I want it.
Yeah.
So I was the guy when it comes to guns. I was the guy on the range. They got that first instruction that gets on the instructor's nerves, because I'm like, okay, it went pow, but why did it go pow? Why am I holding it this way? What is this thing? Why does the thing go pow? Who made this thing? Where does it come from? Who designed it? I was that guy, right? So I became a student of the gun right away. And here I am 20 years later and get the pleasure to travel the country and teach other people about self-defense and their rights. I also run a community outreach program called Aiming for the Truth. Aiming for the Truth is my way of giving back to communities, and if I'm going to be frank, bypassing all the excuses of why people are failing and getting them to the solutions. Let's make sure that we are aiming for the truth around violence. I don't like it when people blame a gun, blame a brick, a bat, whatever. The simple truth is we have a violence issue in this country. It's not a particular item that people are using. We have a violence issue. So how do we address that? Like, well, we have to deal with the socioeconomic reasons. We have to deal with the environmental factors that come into play. We have to deal with these things. And the way that we do that is, we take our own experiences, right? You guys have lived through life. You have your own experiences, and so have I, right? So I'm able to take those experiences, and I broke it down into a program that I realize will help and benefit everybody in my community, because that's where it obviously started from. But the more and more I started doing it, man, I'm like, no, this is an American thing. Like, everybody can benefit from this, right?
Right, no doubt.
So we've done everything. My program does everything from helping people address mental illness, putting dads back in the household so we can snap generational curses, helping people with job skills, so writing resumes, tying tines, things of that nature, simple motivation, getting people off their butt, and just being a part of their lives, helping out with addiction or whatever the issue is, right? We're trying to kill the problem at the roots so we can aim for the truth around making our communities better, making people better, making the machine of a person better. And then once we invest into people and they understand and they build equity in themselves, then that's where the Second Amendment comes in, and we teach you how to protect that equity that you now value.
Yes, sir.
Right. So we talk about that from a historical perspective. So I'm able to do that. And I've been speaking about human rights and civil rights since I was 15 years old. I've always been passionate about that. So I travel the country and speak about those things as well. Gun rights should not be civil right. They're a human right. However, they're a birthright. However, once you politicize them, they then become a civil right. So fighting for gun rights, fighting for the equality of all people, fighting for just human beings is what I do. So I'll speak up and say things that make folks uncomfortable, but I don't care. So
and that's the big thing about bringing you on, man, is I knew you did some shit like that. So I got a buddy that I talk to a lot down in Texas, and I tell him a lot of times I felt like I was inadvertently or ignorantly maybe I came across as a racist because I said things inadvertently. I was a college student that would meet friends and be like, oh, it's cool, man, we can hang out. I got 2 black buddies. I got 2 black roommates. And I never realized that same shit is just as shitty as saying some other stuff to people. And we talked about this on the other episode, that I always felt like as I've gotten older that, like, coming from Eastern Kentucky, where Matt and I come from, man, we grew up different, we grew up, of course, we're in the country, but still we grew up, man, mostly probably predominantly white, probably 95% of the county we live in, the little area we live in.
Yeah.
But I've watched plenty of your podcasts or plenty of your lives, man. And I don't know if I told Matt about this. I watched one a couple months ago, and it really brought some things into perception for me. Was you had a gentleman on, I'm not sure who he was. He's a big dude. But you had talked about kind of when you were younger, they were all about in your neighborhood. They were all about building like rec centers and just putting you in rec centers. And from the outside, especially the people like us, well, that's excellent. They're building fucking rec centers. But the way you put it, and the way then I start to think is they're just kind of they're pushing and putting just those kids in there and not letting them out to do the fucking normal shit that they should be doing. I felt like after hearing you talk, it was kind of like they were just building this area to kind of take the eyes off of everything else, and putting inner city kids in a rec center with some ball courts and 2 heavy bags and being like, there you go, we built this for you, all while kind of just pushing them out of the fucking way and not dealing with the problems that were at hand, because that seemed to please everybody, because it looked like they were doing something good when really you're not doing shit. So that's not a problem we've ever dealt with here, I don't think. I don't think we have a fucking rec center in this fucking place, but
like City Park, maybe.
Right. So I think I just start to see things when you get older. Maybe you see things from a different perspective, and you start to realize that things as you thought weren't always as they were. Or the good shit people were doing may not be as good as what you thought it was, and there was some kind of motive behind it that they were actually going for. So when I watch you get on your lives, man, and you'll stand up and you'll say shit that really does it. I mean, it made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't even do nothing. I was just hanging out at home, but I felt dirty. So I knew, man, like I was like, we need to get together. So you do, first of all, man, thank you for everything you do. And I'm sure you get that. I know you were a police officer. You've done a ton of shit, but for everything you do personally and civil rights wise is for everybody, man. That's a big deal. You don't have to do that shit. And I'm going to assume you probably don't get a lot, financially back from all that stuff that you do. So a lot of what you do, if not all what you do, is straight from here. And that really says a lot about who a man is, man. So first of all, thank you for all that. I'm in Kentucky, you're in St. Louis, and all that stuff that you're doing is hopefully to benefit them, man. But I noticed that the whole thing that you're doing is hopefully to benefit and change the fucking world at some point. So we appreciate shit of it, man.
I greatly appreciate it. I do. I greatly appreciate that. I just want to clarify one thing. My job at the PD, I think around the country, I think to sum it up best, where most of the country will understand, I think people call them jailers. We didn't.
Right.
But that was my position there. I just want to clarify that for somebody accusing me of stolen valor or some BS like that. So,
right, yeah, that'll happen. Yeah. That'll be the next thing. But that shit's just as important, man. I've got buddies, and that's what we call them here in Kentucky. Well, we've changed a little bit. We now call most of them, I think, correctional officers. Is what they seem to call them. But they still, you'll get some fellas that still call them jailers. Just old country slang that I guess we've always used. I don't know. But either way, man, that's still, you're not out of harm's way by no means. I mean, that still puts you in the mix of shit. So,
yeah.
So we've dealt with everything different. I think Matt and I had a podcast on everything's going on the killings, the riots, and all that. And I followed you very, very closely when all this was happening, kind of to see your opinion and perspective of things. Of course, things in Kentucky are a lot different than things in St. Louis. So just generally speaking, man, I mean, I guess it's kind of dumb to ask your thoughts because I'm sure you put them out there, but as far as everything's going now, what are your thoughts? I mean, is this what you've seen, like, for the ramifications from this? Is this what you kind of seen happening?
This is, unfortunately, I don't say what I'm about to say in celebration. I don't say it with, a happy heart, right? None of those things. But this is what happens when you don't listen to people. It's a consequence of it, right? So when a lot of folks like to, and I want to be clear when I say this, a lot of people believe that the main gripe now, like, let's cover what the main gripe is. The main gripe is Black Americans feeling like they've been treated unfairly by the police, right? That is the main gripe. 100%. So there are a few different ways that we can look at it. Now, the way that I look at it mixed with something else, but I'll cover that second. The way I feel, just my personal feelings, it breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart to see my country in this kind of situation. It just does.
Right.
Now, another thing that breaks my heart is the fact that my countrymen don't listen to me when I say there is a problem.
Right.
And normally, so I get hurt both ways, right? So it's one thing when people say, oh, no, that doesn't happen. And then normally I'll ask folks, I'm like, hey, man, for you guys that are saying it doesn't happen, raise your hand if you've ever been employed by a PD. And if you have, especially if your job was to deal with the public, then maybe you'll have a different perspective of what really happens. Now, some people lie, and I'll tell people that flat out. I'll be like, nah. You know how many times I literally had a dude that got released and said that I brutally beat him. He did. He had to have his appendix removed. I brutally beat him. I harassed him all night. I just tore him apart. He had to crawl to an ambulance. Oh, it was so horrible. He said that, and I was off work. I wasn't even there. So people do lie, right? They flat out lie, and that does happen. But at the same time, there are a lot of people that are telling the truth. And when we look at things happen, you know, the recent incidents are George Floyd, you know, Breonna Taylor, you can argue. I don't know if that one, if you can say, I don't know if the guy shooting in the house know that they were shooting at her, you know, but still look what happened to her.
Right.
Tatiana Jefferson. I mean, hell, throw Duncan Limp in there. You got Ahmaud Arbery. You know, you have these things happen. And let's take that one, for example, man, to really, really get how I feel. When Ahmaud Arbery happened, I tell people, we can break down the facts of a thing as they come out. You know, in this social media world, man, we get stuff every hour, right?
Right. Yes,
so
sir.
you wait a little bit. You get kind of a picture of it, right? And then everybody wants to have an opinion about it, even though something might change tomorrow. So we put out an opinion about it, and I broke down by Georgia state law so well that lawyers shared my post. Like, factually, those guys were wrong, and here are the facts. Now, my feelings as a black man is that, hey, guess what? It's freaking Georgia. I got two dudes, one standing in the back of a pickup truck, chasing a black dude around down the street and shooting him with a 12-gauge shotgun. Yeah. It's not a good look. The optics are not good with that. I don't care who you are or what you say.
That's some shit.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not good.
Optics.
And then for us, is this thing edited? Are we careful with language? What do we do?
No, let it go, man. You're
all right. So I'm going to say it because it was said. And now all of a sudden for the GBI to come out and say, Rhodey, the guy that was driving a second truck, because I said my feelings is they attacked this young man because of his race. What did McMichael say? McMichael admitted they never saw Ahmaud coming out of the house.
Right.
They just saw him running down the street. His words, not mine. I had a gut feeling that he was up to something. So they gave chase. They grabbed a 12-gauge shotgun and a .357 Magnum, chased him down the street. Their neighbor sees it. He joins in. He actually hit Ahmaud with his damn truck. So people are like, why is he running around? Well, guess what? You've been hit with a truck. You got a dude standing in the back of a pickup truck with a revolver. You got another one, maybe you knew he was armed or not, chasing you around. And then when you try to go around the truck, you got a dude at the front of the truck with a 12-gauge shotgun. At what point do we realize that we get to fight back? And I mean anybody that's being attacked, right? How long do you run, right? So you fight back, he gets killed. And America's like, oh, he was a thief. I'm like, why people? Why is it that when we're talking about people that are so sensitive right now, you want to verify this man's criminal past before you validate his life? That is not cool in any way you look at it. And then what do we find out? GBI investigator, last week, gets on and he says live in the courtroom.
Nope.
Guess what? Brody's testified that after Travis shot Ahmaud, he stood over his body and said, fucking nigger. This is also the same dude that when they went and pulled up all his Facebook posts, used that terminology regular. One post that they brought up was the fact that I guess he worked on some kind of water vessel or out in the water or something.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, the best thing about my job is I don't have to be around niggers. So you still want to tell me that wasn't race motivated? I didn't see him doing anything. My gut told me he was doing something and I don't like niggers.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, that's common sense.
But America won't recognize that. So that's what's hurtful.
Right.
It's hurtful. Like you should recognize that. Now, what do I feel that there is a positive that can come out of this? Yes, I don't like the way that people are taking advantage of it. Like, I really do not like the way that the Democratic Party is going to take advantage of this whole thing. I don't like it. I just don't.
Yeah.
Right. However, that's what America allowed to be set up to happen. Right. So now we have a country in disarray. We have a lot of people, rightfully so, marching and protesting. You don't get America and 18 other nations to march for something that's false.
Right. Yeah.
I agree with that.
America, all 50 states,
shit.
and 18 other countries. Come on, man. You have to at least admit there's some validity to it. So I am upset that my country is going through turmoil. I am mad at my fellow countrymen for not listening to the problem. Why? Because you don't like the guy that recently in recent years brought it to light. You don't like Colin Kaepernick? You're disrespecting the flag. Nate Boyer, a Green Beret, told Colin Kaepernick that sitting down was disrespectful during the anthem. And when Colin Kaepernick asked Nate, well, what do I do? This is my problem. And what do I do? He said, take a knee. That's the way that we show respect to fallen brothers, is that we take a knee. Therefore, you are not disrespecting the flag. You are literally taking a knee because you have fallen brothers in the streets. Cool. What people like to ignore, too, is Colin also mentioned that he doesn't like the way that the VA is treating veterans, because he has veterans that are telling them they're not getting service, they're being sick, they can't get help. So he was taking a knee for multiple reasons. And guess what America says? Oh, you're disrespecting the flag, so we can't get behind the movement that you're talking about, when a damn Green Beret is the one that told him what to do, not to disrespect the flag. So now, me personally, I've never taken a knee. It's not my way of protest, right? However, if we're going to talk about things, be honest about them. But America has a way of diminishing when Black folks try to bring light to something. What do? Hey, that's not the time for you to protest. Well, protest is meant to be. I'm not supposed to protest when you like it.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Protest Sunday at 1:30 right after church. I'll feel a lot better about that. Come on, man. It's supposed to be uncomfortable, right? So I was kind of disappointed in that. I'm disappointed where we're at, but I will tell you what the shining light is, and I want more people to pay attention to where we can actually unify together. Here's the thing that a lot of people start throwing out stats, right? People start throwing out stats. Oh, it's not disproportionately affecting you because look at the stats. So one stat that came out is 2019, 19 unarmed white men were shot and killed by the police. 9 unarmed Black men, and then 1 Black woman, right? So we have 10 of a Black community, 19 of the white community. Now, mind you, we're only 13% of the population, but we can still get the 50% of those numbers. But I won't play the stat game, right? What I looked at was this. I said, hey, you know what? Let's pretend that none of those people deserve to die. None of them, right? Well, when people say things like that, here is my question. Hey, we're all Americans, and we all want every American to be treated fairly, right? So if 19 Americans are killed unjustly by the system, then why weren't you already marching?
No shit.
Why weren't you already protesting? And when we started protesting, and you say, well, hell, 19 white people. Oh, crap. 19 white people. We have a systematic issue. Let me join your movement because, damn it, I maybe not have realized it, but as soon as I did the research, I'm like, hold on. You killed damn near 20 people that were unarmed, and let's just say half of them, maybe it was a funny story, right? Still, so 10 people. So now I got 10 white and I got 10 Black. People that were killed in this country, and that's not including the others, Asians, Hispanics. Can we go further down the list? So why wouldn't you then look at it and say, you know what? Doing my own research, I was looking for confirmation bias. I was looking to state that your mission, your movement is full of crap. But what I found was, you know what? Men that look like you two were actually more likely, I guess, in that case, to be shot and killed by the police. So why weren't you already starting a protest? Why do you get mad at the people that say, I can experience half of what you experience and I'm pissed and I'm gonna change it? Why are you mad at them? You should have joined them. If they held up Ahmaud Arbery, you hold up, Duncan Lemp. And it's not taken away from Ahmaud. It's bringing light to the injustice being done to Americans. And that would have been our opportunity to unify and say, man, you know what? We might argue you're from, rural Kentucky. I'm from the inner city of St. Louis. But at the end of the day, we agree that this government has no business killing either one of us. Right? Our lives are equally as valuable. And you know what, man? I'm going to stand beside you, country and all, bad barbecue and all, and I'm going to march right with you. And we are going to talk about the injustice, right? But America misses that because they want to find the differences and focus on those, get involved in the semantics of things instead of just saying, hey, man, you know what? I was looking for a reason to tell you that all that was full of crap. What I discovered was double the numbers on our side. So you know what, man? In the interest of American values, I'm going to march with you because we need to bring light together. To this problem.
Right. No shit. So
that was an opportunity.
Right. I mean, and it should have been. That's more, I think, and I feel real naive and I feel real ignorant sometimes when I don't know those stats. And that's okay, man, because I learned them when I talk and I figure it out. But I do think this was a time to unify together more than separate. And it happened, man. It happened a little bit here and there. It still, as I mentioned in the last podcast, man, it still blows my fucking mind the degree of racism in America, and it does. Do you find any do you find any truth to the fact that we're trying to be divided by race, by media, or by politicians and shit like that. I see that a lot. I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know my stance. Like when I see it and I think about it, I do that. I'm like, oh shit, maybe we are trying to, maybe they are trying to divide us. Or is that something we do ourselves, you think, through all this?
So I have to answer your question in two ways. Anytime you mix race and politics, it is definitely evil. Period. Right? There are, a prime example of that would be, politics happens to do things, for example. All right. And now I'm answering your question just in two ways. So when you introduce politics to it, it is evil. And here's why. Who is to blame politically? Who is to blame for the 1994 crime bill? What party?
Democratic.
Right. Democratic Party. Right.
Yep.
The 1994 crime bill was horrible. Why do most white Americans know about the 1994 crime bill?
It affected them a lot.
The assault weapons ban.
Yep.
They know about the gun ban, right?
Yep.
So that brought a lot of conservative or Republican views toward that, guys that love their guns, right? They're like, so the bill got their attention because it banned the dreaded assault rifle for 10 years. And while they're like, oh crap, look who did it, right? The Democratic Party, you got Biden and Hillary and all the other people, right?
Yeah.
And cool. And then they start finding out all the other reasons that the bill was horrible beyond guns later on. All right, not a problem. So now that you know, but what people fail to realize is, like when I asked you guys who's to blame, you say the Democratic Party. Cool, you're absolutely right. 49 Republicans also voted in favor of that bill. And you know how your guns got involved? Because 49 Republicans said, hey, tell you what, take away 2/3 of the financing that you're going to give to those mothers that are going to be without dads, uncles, brothers. All the black men we're going to lock up unfairly, put 100,000 more cops, spend $13 billion in prisons to arrest them, and then $3.5 billion in law enforcement, including taking all the red tape and the bureaucracy out of interagency cooperation, and not giving more money to internal affairs to make sure that the dogs we set loose are controlled. But we're not going to do that. What we want to do is take away the funding. You guys are trying to give 2/3 to what we consider to be welfare, for lack of better, right? We need 2/3 of that funding back. Democrats are like, all right, what you going to give us? I don't know what you want. Give us guns. All right, cool. Tell you what, lock they black asses up. I'll give you the white dudes guns for 10 years, and we'll go back quietly into the sunset. 49 Republicans voted in favor of that bill, and I listed every one of their names about 2 months ago here on Instagram and the states they represent. So yes, you're right, Democratic Party, but you're wrong at the same time. So we have to be able to look beyond politics. Yes, politics will always divide us. So that's one. So that's why I have a hashtag, I don't do politics. I do truth. Right. And I treat politicians like I'm a ball player. I'm a free agent every year. You want me? Show me in paper what you're going to do for me.
I got you.
Right. Yeah. Period. That's how I treat them. It's not party related to me. And then when you get to individuals like us, like are guys like me at risk of having a war with guys that look like you? And here's the way that I respond to that. You have extremists in everything, right? Religion,
right?
Politics, race. They're always extremists. And yeah, you're going to have extremists that are trying to egg that on, right? On both sides. There is no conversation, no median grounds to them, right? It's just all violence or nothing. Right. So the extremists put to the side, right? We can't consider them as part of the rational conversation. We can't. When it comes to the average minded person, are we at risk of something dealing with race, and are we divided by race? Yes, but we're divided by race because we refuse to have understanding. Hey, Dix, could you plug in that orange cord to that wall above that dog thing? You'll see the outlet on the wall. We are divided by that because we refuse to have an understanding of each other and what we go through. So we can't get the knowledge, and we can't share the knowledge with each other. Do I think we're at risk of a war? No. Do I think that we're at risk of constant misinformation and miscommunication that's going to lead us to a further divide? Sure. And how do we solve that? Because I'm a solution-based person by doing what we're doing right now. The first thing I said, which you guys didn't record, but the first thing I said when you cut this on, I'm like, wow, what's up, white people?
Right.
Yeah.
Why do I do that? I'm casual doing that because guess what? Everything doesn't have to be so damn testy. Now, if I said that out of malice, right? If I hopped on here and I'm like, y'all, you damn whites, then yeah, you're going to have a negative reaction to that because you're offended, right? Right. No, we have to be able to talk to each other, communicate with each other, and not demonize people when they get to saying something that you're uncomfortable with. If I talk about guns and how guns affected Black and indigenous people in this country, then I have a lot of conservatives and Republican white dudes like, yeah, brother, you tell them. And then when they say, but there is no systematic racism, like, isn't gun control in the system? So if you can say that gun control is racist and it is a thing that historically has always been against people like me, even before this was a country, politicians put that into the system. People voted in as part of the system.
Right.
So by admitting that gun control is racist, you already admitted that we have one form of systemic racism. So listen to people when they're talking to you. Don't think the racism stopped with guns. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
So
No,
Now,
wasn't the original gun control written post Civil War, so the slaves wouldn't like try to take out retribution and stuff? That's like what it's rooted in.
yeah, so when the slaves were brought over, early 1600s, we weren't technically a country, but there were still rules, if you will, that were understood that slaves weren't allowed to own guns. I mean, let's think about this. I've been kicking your ass. I drug you away from your home. I've killed many of you, threw you out into the ocean, hundreds at a time, raped your women. I want to give you a pistol. I want you having a bat, a brick, a knife, or anything? Of course I don't, right? So that's where the control started. And it started off with anything that can be used as a weapon. And some of the early French black codes, the way that they wrote it is, they even put into the language, blacks weren't allowed to own weapons, i.e. a cane. So anything that can be used as a weapon, like canes were used as an example. And if you caught a black individual or a slave with anything that could be used as a weapon, if it was not in the course of their duties, then you, as a free white man, could kill them on the spot and just go back home.
I mean, it's our history, but it is fucked up.
I don't know, man. That I've always said I'm not a history guy, so I didn't. What you guys just talked about, man, just really, I don't know, that fucks with me because I didn't know shit like that. I don't guess, so I still learn a lot. But I don't know, man. Like I seen, there was a peaceful protest in my little town of Moorhead this past Saturday. It was good, man. It was nice to drive down the street and you see blacks and whites and a few Hispanics all just together for the same shit. But then you drive a mile down the road and you posted a picture today, KD, on Instagram of I don't know what it was, a bunch of rednecks and some signs, maybe some Aryan Brotherhood guys or something. And you talked about a mud beast, which I laughed real hard at because I've never heard that term in my life. But I don't know what
that's a new one to me. The hell is that?
I showed my girlfriend. I was like, look at this shit. Look what KD posted. And she was like, "What's a mud beast?" I was like, "I don't know. I guess a black guy. I don't fucking know, man. I mean, there's these weird ass white dudes holding signs up. Like, it's just the craziest thing in the world to me." But you drive a mile down the road or 2 miles down the road in our town, man, and you've got some of those same fucking people doing that shit. So I don't know, man. It's just I think the problem's worldwide. I think we all have got to do some shit to fucking get it better. And that's not taking anything away from you. I think fully 100% you're doing your part. I'm sure you probably feel like there's more to be done or more you can do. Matt and I, we try to bring light to our area, at least around the people around here and people that listen to this podcast. And that's why I was so big, man. And once I kind of, I remember just kind of meeting you on, I feel like a Facebook Live or some shit. And we argued about some barbecue. And I knew then, I was like, we're gonna have to get him on the podcast, man. So,
Absolutely.
So
you've
been doing this now for what, like civil rights wise, 20 years, 30, 20, 25 years?
Yeah, if you count when I was a kid starting off, just trying to be involved in arguing with local aldermen, 15, 26 years.
You ever got to a point, man, where you just want to lay it down because you don't feel like it's going to get there? Or do you always have that fight?
Man. If I feel like giving up?
Yeah.
You know what, man? I would be a lie if I told you that I didn't want to at times, because I do okay in life. Not necessarily a rich man, but, we do okay. I could sit back, dude, chill in the house, clean my guns, go out and teach people, travel the world, laugh, joke, and stay out of this stuff. The problem with that is the same way while I'm sitting around avoiding the problems, all it's doing is getting worse.
Right.
So every time I remind myself of that, like, if not you, who? And that's what I tell everybody. When you notice a problem and you think that you want to fix it, no matter who you are, you have to think to yourself, if not you, who? I don't wait on the NRA. I don't wait on any organization to fix a problem for me. If I notice a problem, I'm going to speak on it, right? I don't wait on If there was a healthcare issue I wanted to speak on, I'm not going to wait on my local healthcare organization to up and say something about it. I'm going to kick them in the ass until they say something about it. Right. So that's how I have to remind myself, and I give myself those pep talks. If not you, who? And that's how you have to treat it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've been in some situations where when I was younger, I think confrontation wasn't always my thing. And I would see some shit happen, and you kind of maybe, and for a better lack of terms, man, I would slide back into crowds. It wasn't my shit. I didn't want to mess with it. Like, as I got older, I realized maybe that thing, like sometimes I know before I would wait for somebody to speak up, and I might be the second or third person to kind of speak up on that side. It's like I always did what I felt was right, but I had to have somebody lead that horse for me. As I've gotten older, I realized it's kind of that concept. If not me, who? It was just I would be the first one to step up, and I'm proud of that. I don't do a lot of things in life that I'm proud of, but I'm proud of me, the fact that I'll do that I don't care to stand up and be the only one standing or what it be. And I think that's a big thing for everybody, man. Is to what's fucking right. Like people know what's right. It's not a class you got to take. Right here, and right here what's right and what's wrong. And so you pick what side of the fence you're on, man, and I think that's where it's at. So I think these times are real trying for everybody. But like I said in the last podcast, man, it is. All we hear, I think I know Matt and I hear it a lot, man, is the all lives matter thing. And we talked about this real hard last time that, yeah, man, of course. But, the focus isn't on that right fucking now. The focus is on what's being taken away, and that's Black lives. So I have a real issue with the people who want to stand up right now and say that. But coming from an Eastern Kentucky ginger, red-bearded, fat white man, it holds not a lot of weight, but I'll still get up and scream and fucking yell with the best of them. But, I'll break it out with Kentucky holy water and try to ease the tensions a little bit. But other than that, it's
empty.
You empty? You're empty. I got it.
I'm empty. All right. That's cool.
It's and that's, with the all lives matter thing, look, nobody, and like I tell people, nobody ever said that other lives didn't matter, right? And when Black Lives Matter first started, one thing people kept saying, Black Lives Matter too, right? It was like include Black lives with the value of it with everyone else. Right. But what people scream about, they scream about the corruption of Black Lives Matter. Now, let me be very, very frank about something. I am from where Black Lives Matter started. Started here.
Same
right?
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of local knowledge about that. Right. And Black Lives Matter, when it first started, it was good to its core. And even what it says is still a good saying. The problem is politics got involved. Once politics got involved and they brought their little squirmish ways and their money and stuff like that, well, now it's like if you go back and look, when Black Lives Matter originally boomed after the Mike Brown situation, there were faces to Black Lives Matter. There were people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I remember that.
Right.
Show me one person that's a board member of Black Lives Matter right now that you've seen. Show me a president of a chapter. Show me the local leader that's standing up there speaking for the organization. Show me one.
It's just it's a movement now.
One of the last leaders, if you will, the last time I seen her, she was taking a picture with the president of Venezuela. Like, that's who you're taking photo ops with, right?
Yeah, that's where we're at, right?
Do you understand that they're eating dogs? Like, what? Yeah. So people, the movement itself, people are right by saying it was co-opted, but by them we're admitting that truth, yes. However, it doesn't take away from what the core value is. If you don't want to donate money to it because you believe, or no, because maybe the money is going somewhere it doesn't need to go, I'm okay with that. But using your voice to speak up and say, look, man, as my fellow Americans, I think that they have a gripe. And I want to at least listen to see if it's something that I can get on board with. And like I tell everybody, even if you hate it, once you do your research to try to yell at somebody about it's not happening to them, and you notice that 19 white Americans were killed that were unarmed, that should have been your bail to be like, hey, you know what? Your movement brought attention to me because I was trying to figure out something to argue with you about. That we have another problem, right? And so let's get together and do it. But I think that people need to realize and understand. I know people have been saying it, but look, man, I recently just had a woman who was like a mother to me 3 days ago die of cancer. My mother has beat cancer. My best friend has defeated cancer, and I've lost other close ones to cancer. I fucking hate cancer. Like with a passion.
Yeah.
Right. I hate that.
Got it.
But I'm not going to stand out because even though it's taken so many people from me and it's affected so many people I love, I'm not going to stand out at, and this was all breast cancer that I'm talking about. I'm not going to stand out at a leukemia rally and be like, you know, all cancer matters. Like, what? Like, shut up.
Right.
Nobody's testicular cancer. All cancer matters. Like, shut up.
Right.
Like, nobody's talking to you right now. You know, so and that's why we're having, to your question about having a divide, man, think about that. You if your first interaction with dealing with somebody from a different part of the country, just a different culture, if your first interaction is seeing them on TV screaming that the pain you've been going through doesn't matter to them, how do you connect with them?
Right. You don't.
You usually just shut it down because you can't relate.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. That makes sense.
It makes like what we're doing here, you know, just kind of like a round table discussion. I think that's kind of like the path that all America should kind of get on. You know, nice calm discussion, figure out what each person needs to happen, and move from there.
But it's that disagreement, man, or that freedom of speech that is okay when freedom of speech is fine with me when I got shit to say. But when Kevin says something I don't agree with, then it's, well, fuck, you can't just say that. You can't just say whatever you want. But it was okay for me to say it. You know, it's okay when it's what you want to be said, and then when it's uncomfortable, or when it's in your face, or when it's what you disagree with, it's a whole other ballgame. And this is also three gentlemen that can sit around and talk, and we can disagree and still have a conversation and a friendship and be fine. I don't know where that's left in the world, where now you have to agree with everybody. But it's those little things, and I think it's little things like that over and over and over again that turn into this big fucking beast that pulls so many fucking people away and in different directions. And it's just shit, man. I don't know. I got real problems and shit. Like, I got bills and stuff. I don't have time to worry about what color your skin is or where you're fucking from. Unless you're affecting me and mine, just do your thing and we're fine, man. You know? So I think I have a real issue when, and I know it sucks. I know there's plenty of country folk that may listen to this podcast, man, but when they're at a Black Lives Matter rally and not shit's happened to you, you haven't been infringed on, you haven't been just nothing. You've been just fine and hunky-dory and living life as normal, but now you feel a need to come out and rally against somebody for no other fucking reason than the fact you don't agree with it. Because you think that it should all be like, you know, like all lives matter. And fine, sure, the fuck yeah they do, everybody. But the fucking focus right now isn't on everybody. I'm, like I told Matt last time, I'm not worried about going out and getting pulled over and getting drug out of my car or getting treated poorly or getting fucking killed. As I said last time, if you were playing the game of life and you picked the piece you thought would win, if there was a fat, white, middle-aged male, that's the piece you're going to get. That's the piece you want to play because you're going to win. And that's just where shit is. So I have a real issue, man, with people who step up to just disagree or to just fucking try to bring down other people when they're trying to do some good in the world. The world will beat you down no matter what. Like, I mean, you know what? Let me ask
you guys a question from where you live, and it's not even a trick question. Let me ask you a question, and it's more of a kind of a legal question, if you will. So if you're just, let's just say, standing outside, right? Like, you're just hanging outside in your front yard. Maybe, you know, you're waiting on your buddy to come out the house. You're gonna get in your car, head over to the store, right? You're just, you know, outside.
Right.
A cop pulls up, all right? And you're not, like, there was no 911 call for service, nothing. You're just standing outside. You don't have any warrants. Like, you're just another dude. And the cop in your county pulls up, and he just grabs you, places you against the car, searches you, and puts you in the back of the car and takes you to jail. Would you have a problem with that?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
I feel like I would own something before the night was over with.
Yeah. That don't even happen here. But, like, not that I've ever heard of.
Do you know?
But, you know, it's probably because of, you know, this, but, you know.
When people say that, and it's two different ways that I just want people to think logically, man. Two things to that. One, like you said, hey, that doesn't even happen here. And you said, hey, I will be owning something by the end of the night. So everybody knows about the New York stop and frisk, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. It was a violation of people's Fourth Amendment rights, and it hyper-focused on Black men and Hispanic men, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, you could just be walking down the street, thrown up against a car, searched. And if you were found to be in possession of anything, due process was thrown out the window. I didn't need a warrant to search you. I just did it, right?
Yeah.
And then I could take you down to jail, right? And then people are like, oh, well, the government's always taxing us. We got to pay house tax and property tax. Well, let me explain something to you. Mike Bloomberg actually gave us a clue. During the last Democratic, running, Bloomberg stood on stage and said, yeah, basically, I'm getting flamed for stop and frisk, right? Even though it stopped. He was like, I'm getting flamed for that, which he should have. I am getting flamed for that. And then he said, but I modeled that after other cities around the country. And everybody goes, what? Oh, you didn't? And he's like, yeah, I did. Right. And so let me tell you something. When people was like, oh, it doesn't matter, we're all American. Hey, you guys even said that don't happen here. And if it did, I would be owning something by the end of the night. In St. Louis, Missouri, we have stop and frisk. You know what it's called? It's not called that. It's called street demonstration. Let me tell you what street demonstration means. If you are standing outside, and it is only in our city, it is not in our suburbs, except some of the bad, worst parts of our suburbs, but primarily in the city. If you are standing outside after, really it can be before dark, but especially after dark. If you're standing outside, the police can pull up, okay? They can put you against the car. They can search you, charge you with anything they find, one, all right? If they don't find anything, you are still placed in the back of a paddy wagon. You are taken down to the city jail. You can stay there upwards of 24 hours. Your photo is taken, so you're entered into the system, even if you have no criminal record. You're then entered into the system, and you're given a citation for $100 for standing outside.
Hang on, let me go back. So if you weren't doing shit, like if they just fucking grab, if we're all three hanging out, not doing shit, and they come out, they grab you, don't find shit on you whatsoever, they'll still put you in a paddy wagon, still charge you $100 fucking dollars?
Yes. And then you know what the crazy part is? And look, I'm the guy that's getting you out the paddy wagon, right? So here we are, taking your photos, fingerprinting you. What are we doing? We're putting you into the system.
Right.
Why are we putting you into the system, even though you've never broken a crime? So we can start monitoring you. And then Americans want to tell me there is no systemic racism. It absolutely is. That was a way to bring 200 to 300 people a day through the system, enter them all into the system. And then you know who pays for it? Them, because we're going to give you a $100 citation for standing outside that you will pay. And if you can't afford to pay it, then we just tack on court fees. We give, you get a bench warrant out for your arrest. So then we start adding on more fees. So that $100 can turn into $400. $400 can turn into $600. Plus you have to sit in jail because if we catch you, right? Then you have to sit down until you go see a judge. A judge's gonna be like, how much money you got? Well, I don't know. Well, then you might wind up going to the workhouse or something like that. So it is a way to start entering you into the system, tracking you and taxing you. They call it street demonstration, literally. And that goes on to this day. So when people are like, there is no systemic racism, that's point one. Point two, think about it like this. What party primarily is in charge of urban areas?
Usually Democratic. Yeah.
Right? Like it's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So, but don't a lot of conservative and or Republican people say that Democrats are like the next thing to the devil, right? They're like these evil, monstrous people, right? Well, these people are still setting forth the laws in their areas, right? They're the ones that are policymakers, lawmakers, and things of that nature, right? Whether it's especially local, state, or even federal, right? The senators and things are setting the laws. They're the policymakers, the people who are writing laws. So if they are the evil racists, they're the party of racism, as people say. So you mean to tell me that the system they control has no injected racism when they are in charge of urban centers?
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink on that.
I just can't.
So
how
when people say,
how does that even fly though? I mean, that's super unconstitutional. Has no one caught on to this and tried to self-correct it?
Well, that's part of what you're. So that's part of the overflow of what you're seeing now. Like that this is part of the explosion. So if you listen to a lot of the protesters, they're like, and I don't even mean the ones yelling. I mean, you watch a lot of these videos, like we're just tired of the harassment. We're tired of the unfair treatment. We're tired of it, right? Because the reason why people from here don't say anything, because it's the way it is. So you didn't know any better. Like when they were bringing people in for street demonstration, I was with the PD. I was like, all right, well, it was street demonstration. I'm a 22-year-old kid. I'm on the side of the law, right? So I'm like, yeah, even though I'm paying attention to civil rights, I'm 22. I don't know every damn thing, right? I'm just doing a job. And I'm like, it would hit me one day. I'm like, I'm part of the system that's part of the problem. And who is running the system? Same way I tell people, we don't have a cop issue. We have a justice system issue.
Yes, sir.
Right? And you start at the top. I'm not mad at the foot soldier. You're only doing as you're told to. Somebody's telling you to do that. Somebody is telling you to bring me results. Somebody is driving you to do that. And when people are like, well, the police are great people. They're not doing anything wrong. I'm not saying 95% of cops are doing anything wrong. What I am saying is, for that 5%, who hires a police chief in a city?
Chiefs?
The mayor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Chiefs are hired primarily. There might be a city that's different, but primarily they are hired and appointed by their mayors. Right?
And
the chief then is given directives by his mayor. The mayor gives the directives and what they want to see for the city for financial reasons and crime areas and blah, 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 and what they're going to promise the voters and all that crap. Right? They then pass all that pressure down to the chief. The chief then gives it to his command staff, which he appoints. He gives it to his command staff. Command staffs give it to the sergeant. The sergeants give it to the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers go out and execute. All that is started by the same people we say are the party of racism. It's passing the orders down.
Shit. Yep.
And then we say there's no systemic racism. And what do? They then, to protect themselves, they sacrifice the foot soldier. He's expendable.
Right.
To protect their evil intent.
Yeah.
Look around the country a lot. I guarantee you, if you do a little bit of research, you will see most of the problems are with police and not necessarily with sheriffs.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Why? Sheriffs are appointed.
Yep.
Yeah. They're elected officials.
Big fucking difference, man. That's some shit.
So once again, if somebody's gonna meet me with the fact that there are no problems, I'm gonna meet you on a table of logic. I just want to have a logical conversation with you.
That's what we're doing, man. And that's what the point of this was.
Like, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I'm actually learning right now.
Nah, man, I said I'm still a dumb 22-year-old kid inside, still from Eastern Kentucky. I live 20 minutes from where I grew up, man. So, it's sometimes we're cloaked into that whole division of everybody else. You know, you think Eastern Kentucky. I think a lot of people think redneck, hillbilly, racism, just all kinds of mingles, and it fucking does. There's the exceptions. It's like me and this dude, and there's a handful of us, and there's several people, but it is, man, it mingles and it fucking collaborates together, you know. So if you don't get your head out of Eastern Kentucky and you don't get other places and you don't see this, you know, then I feel like you're doing yourself a disjustice, man, of not seeing what's going on in the world, and then that leaves you to holding up road signs that says "All Lives Matter" with your shirt off, looking like you just did some kind of weird meth dance because you're missing 14 teeth and going for a fucking crab boil down the street. But whatever. That's
we do have a lot of meth around here.
It's real heavy, and I stop and pause, man, because I just want to think on it for a minute. But I know we don't have all kinds of time, so off the heavy shit just for a second. You've talked a lot of shit when you first met me. About St. Louis and some barbecue. And I said, you know what? That's bullshit because Kentucky makes some damn good barbecue and some good bourbon. And you argued with me. And
you got it about bourbon.
Well, listen, my girlfriend's from Marion. And I spent some time up in Marion, Illinois. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. In Illinois, they claim they make good barbecue. And it was shit. It was like some store-bought shit that I could have made in the microwave in a tin. Kentucky, y'all do barbecue out there. So I told Matt we're gonna come out and find some fucking barbecue. We in Kentucky we've got bourbon, barbecue, and basketball, and I don't think anybody can take that from us. I just don't. I don't know.
You know, man, I'll give you the bourbon. You know what? Right. I might even enjoy me some of this tonight.
Look at
some Blades and Bow.
Nice.
Yeah. Look, man. I pay homage where homage. Yeah, bourbon. I give it to you, brother. Okay. You got that. You got it. I have no fight. I cannot fight you. Right? You got it. You win. Barbecue. St. Louis is the home of barbecue. We started this barbecue shit. Is this the motherfucking thanks I get? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is barbecue is what we do. Like, you can go down any alley, any grill, and people are grilling. It's what we do. We started Kansas City. That's why Kansas City, Missouri, you know, say, we got that. Shut up, KC. Shut up. It's like saying the Royals have more world champions than the Cardinals. All right, get out of here. No, you don't. Right? So
I mean,
bourbon is what you guys doing. You do it
All right.
well. Like, hey, no argument. But barbecue, we are the equivalent to barbecue as you are to bourbon.
all right, I'm gonna agree with that because I don't know any fucking difference. And your pride and your stance on that made me a believer. You didn't have to feed me any. Your stance and how
Yeah.
strongly you felt about it made me want to come to St. Louis and try some goddamn barbecue. So
I mean, it's hard to beat the OG. I mean, if it started there, they've kind of perfected it.
I mean,
I
all
mean,
right, I'll
it,
slide back. I'll handle bourbon.
yeah.
What we'll do?
Now, what
And
you guys should do is you should come to train and learn next year.
Let's do
Right?
it.
You guys are industry. You are considered industry. You should come to the industry event, train and learn, and we'll probably just fire up a grill right on the spot. Now, look, and the barbecue here ain't even it's not even a thing about, let's say, culture. Like, I tell folks all the time, like we tease white people for not seasoning their food and shit, right?
Right.
Until it comes, but some barbecue. Oh, I got some country boys, man. Look, like, hey, you coming down this weekend? You're damn right, right?
All right.
Because barbecue is just what we do.
I'm ready.
What
I'm
we
ready.
do. This is what we do.
We're gonna plan it out. I'll bring the bourbon. Me and Matt will bring bourbon. You guys supply some barbecue, man, and I'm game. We'll shoot some fucking guns, and I gotta taste barbecue. I mean, evidently I've been wronged all my life. I'm a big dude. I love some damn barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm at home eating the wrong stuff, then something's got to change at some point. So,
What you like? You like ribs? I mean, what's your taste?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how this sounds to somebody who's like legit from the barbecue scene, but I just like some pulled pork, man.
Okay.
Just some good old pulled pork barbecue, man. I don't need no bread.
I'm a
I don't
ribs
need
guy.
shit. I just need it in a plate. Just lather it up with some salve and put it on a plate, and I'm good to go.
All right. Yeah, we can even take you to one of our chain spots for that. Now it's a local chain though, so it's still kind of like home cooking.
Right.
We take you to a spot called Sugar Fire.
Sugar Fire, right?
No, yeah, Sugar Fire. That's what it's called, Sugar Fire. Right? They started here, then kind of blew up. But yeah, Sugar Fire barbecue. Everything is made fresh every day. When they're out, they out.
Nice.
All right. Everything fresh that morning. Meat's brought in fresh. Cook it. When we gone, we gone. But yeah, they got some pretty good pulled pork. Pulled pork is not really my thing. I'm a rib man.
Right.
You know? Now I'm gonna tell you who does actually have some good ribs. I'm not gonna lie. There's a place called City Diner on Beale Street, Memphis.
Yeah.
They use the chili powder in their ribs and they use it just right. And they smoke those things for a full day. And I mean, it is good. It's called City Diner. Now, I will give them that. Their ribs.
Man, that whole, seasoning and how long to cook, it's a science, man. And I don't have it. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a science. I just learned. I'm 35 years old. I just made my first pancake this morning. I cooked some shit. But I never made no pancakes. I made my first pancakes in my life this morning. I was happy as shit. But I'm gonna take it. We got a spot. I did, man. I made like 6 pancakes and the bitches came out perfect, and I was excited as hell. We got a spot over by the lake called Pop's Barbecue, man. They do the same kind of deal. They make everything fresh every morning. But I've also peeked into the back of that place. Man, I don't know. Last time I was there was with this guy. You peek in the back, man, and it's just not. You just don't want to go back. You just, it's all right. It's good food, man. They do what they're doing. But that's the most authentic I think I've had. I spent some time living in Nashville. I've been in New Orleans. I've had Cajun. I'm a big Cajun fan. I love some Cajun food. And New Orleans to me is the home of that shit. That's where that's at. I loved it. I lived there. But I'm gonna take it, man. And we'll work this out. We'll come out next year, whenever that is. We'll eat some barbecue and have some bourbon.
Sounds awesome.
I know we got to cut you some time, man, but I've always been curious after watching you. You got one gun, man. You got to pick up, conceal to carry. You got to protect your family. What do you choose?
One.
You won.
So we're not in an apocalyptic world. We're just at home, and I need to choose one gun.
You're at home. You got one. I might want to answer both these now, though, that you brought that up. But I want to know what you choose, man.
All right. Well, the answer to the first one is this boy. Okay. So this is, I don't know if you got, the truth. I don't know if you can see it there in the light.
I got that.
Oh.
So this is the truth. This is my signature firearm. Okay. The truth is, this is like my gun. It is wonderful. Obviously, the original platform is HKBP9. We've thrown in a Lobos Industries trigger. You have obviously you have the reference point below stippling. We have the custom stippling on the grip up the tang.
Yeah.
This particular one you can put whatever optic on it you want, but this one has the Viper on it with the 6 MOA dot. We got the Heine front and rear sights on it. Let's see, there you go. Suppressor height sights, silence code barrel. This particular one is equipped with an M-Force APL. We've also textured and contoured the that mag well is not something that was store bought. That is actually carved into the gun. Okay. And all the extra panels that come with the VP9 series, all the panels that are inside the gun are stippled to match. So you can switch them out and still get the same feel. Now this one's been beat all to hell because this is the one that I run hard. But this gun also is it's a workhorse. Now the story behind it is a whole other thing. You know, if anybody wants to look at it, just Google or put it in YouTube, Kevin Dixie, the Truth Gun, and you'll hear me give the whole spiel. These guns come in custom cases to tell you the history about why guns are so important. So, and it talks about the slaughter
Let me be
of.
clear real quick. You make these on demand. You sell these. They're available for purchase.
They are available for purchase. There are 49 total in the country. There are 19, I believe. 19 left available to buy. Once they're gone, they're gone. But yes, this is my signature gun. You can see on top there. You can see the company logo.
Damn. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, this is this is a collaboration with J&L Machining, Risen Gunworks, Wayne Hammer Customs, Carolina Custom Foam. So the cases that these guns come in are an absolute work of art because these are the first guns in history, and I don't say this braggadocious. I say this because it's facts. It's the first guns in history that not only is it a hell of a workhorse and a hell of a machine, it's the first guns in history that fight gun control. And when you open the case to them, you will see exactly why. It's a dual layer case.
I seen your foam. I just seen a picture of the gun and the foam being cut out. And I seen the truth. I couldn't get a good look at it, but I did see the what went into it a little bit. So I hope, man, when I asked that question, that's what you pulled out. That was just probably some kind of move. Let me see that damn gun. But that's yeah, that's where it's at, man.
Mwah,
yeah. All right, so now
we're gonna spend some time together.
Shit, Mad Max style.
Apocalyptic
went fucking wild.
Okay.
What's Kevin Dixie fucking grab?
All right, if we're going with handguns, right? If I can only grab one handgun, if the world collapsed and it's like, yo, you're on your own, and you only get one handgun, I'm going with the Glock 19.
That's fucking
just can't argue with it. It's a workhorse. Right. I can stick 17 mags in it. Glocks are available everywhere. They're easy to fix, so you can get them back up and running if something does happen to them. You know, they're just workhorses, dude. You can't argue with them, right? I'm going to be able to find parts, mags.
I carried one for about 2 or 3 years, I think. So yeah, man, those are. I mean, I don't know what you're packing there is nice, but yeah, you know,
rifle wise, what do you go with?
Rifle style. I'm going with the Trident. I mean, I'm going with the AR-15. That's just it's an AR. I mean, it's just like it's the everything gun, right? Right. If I'm going with one AR. I will go with my Tactical Life Stealth 15 that has all that running a Faxon barrel. I'm a big fan of Faxon. They're great friends of mine, and I'm definitely running as many of their internals as possible from the BCG Faxon, to the barrel. Faxon, Kurt knows boys. Those are good buddies of mine, and they put out some high quality stuff. So if it's not one of their complete rifles, I'm at least running their internals.
There you go. Every barrel I've had, man, this guy built, I think.
I have something to show you. 1 second.
Yeah, let him grab that. Okay. But every AR we built, man, it's got as much Faxon as I can put in it. It never goes out of Faxon barrel. That's just the barrel I choose, no matter what. If I'm going to build an AR, that component's done. I'm going to put a Faxon barrel, whether it's a gunner or a SOCOM, whatever I decide to put in it. But it's going to be Faxon. I mean,
good choice, man.
They've never failed me. Oh, here you go.
What we got here?
All right. This right here.
I'll get your stun on real quick.
Is
right. He's going too hard.
This is my Sega fully converted AK. Had it rebarreled with some of Faxon's barrels. It was by these people right here, Meridian Ordnance. They're located in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Do excellent job. I mean,
that's a nice piece, man. It's a nice rifle.
Yeah.
That is nice, man.
Yeah, I got the crest.
That is nice.
And ALG trigger, the Midwest Handguard. I mean, Man, I probably got over like $2,000 into this thing after it was all said and done. But
There's your stunt there
It
about
was
the
worth it.
price. Like he had to throw it. He's gonna throw it out. His wife probably know that shit. So
damn it.
boy's about to be sleeping on my couch tonight when this podcast uploads when she realizes that shit. All
Sorry,
right,
babe.
man. Listen, I know we've kept you. More than anything, man, I appreciate the shit out of you for coming on and talking to us. For anybody that don't think it can happen, I feel like there's still people in the world that believe that some white dudes and some black dudes can't get along, and I think this was a nice bit of fuck you to all that. There's still, as odd as it is, man, there's still shit like that in the world. So, but I appreciate the shit out of you coming on. I know Matt does, and talking to us about some real shit. I'm very interested to know your feelings. I know we get on each other on Messenger and shit every now and then, but I didn't have a chance to really sit down and kind of talk to you about your feelings and your thoughts. And watching you do your work, and I've done my research on you, man, and I went back and I've read kind of a little bit up on you and what you've done. So I was really, really intrigued, man, for your knowledge and your stance on everything. So I appreciate you sharing that with us and coming on and just maybe even educating me, man, because there's a lot of that shit I didn't know. Appreciate that.
Me either. I learned quite a bit.
No, man. It's absolutely my pleasure. I appreciate you guys sharing your platform with me. And what I would say to your listeners is this. We all believe in the American spirit. Believe your American brethren when he says something. I've never served in the service, never. And I won't pretend that I have. But you know what? When those boys come back, if they talk about the way that they were treated, if they talk about the way that they're not taken care of once they return home, you know what? My job is to listen, even though I've never walked in their shoes. My job is to listen because they're Americans, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm paying attention to their plight in case I need to be involved, right? So listen to your fellow American. A lot of I think that once we talk and we sit down, you can't. It's hard to dismiss somebody with a pure heart just trying to tell you what they're doing.
Right.
I don't care if you're from Kentucky. I don't care if you're from Compton. We are all in the same fight together because the way that the government wins, the system wins, is to keep us at each other's throat. It is we the people over the government. It is not them, the government. It's we the people that control them. And until we can sit down as we the people and maybe have some really hard conversations, right? That maybe they need to be had. But don't dismiss another American because they see America through a different lens than you do.
A couple things about that, man. Is I noticed that the way I think the way this world was supposed to work was the government should fear the people, and that stopped long ago. The government should always, I think, fear the man and the people, and they don't. They hold all the power. So that's something I think we have to get back to a point where we control kind of what happens in our world, in our lives. If that happens, it happens. But I think that's what the good fight's for, man, and I think that's what everybody, at least on this platform, at least kind of what we're wanting to do is trying to get to. So, secondly, man, as I've seen, you mentioned the VA earlier. I've been a medic for about 13 years and spent 10 years of that in an ER. The VA, man, they're a real disservice to our servicemen and women who serve. They really are. At least I can't vouch for every VA I've been around, but I will gladly stand up and tell you the VAs that are around me and surround me, they're doing a real disservice to our servicemen and women, man. They treat them like trash. And that's got to change. I've got a good friend, man, I graduated with. He lives close to me, and he just battles it every day, man, just for simple fucking care. Just simple shit that they just want to push off, and it's not okay. At some point, man, you've got to take care of these men and women who went overseas or even if you didn't go overseas, even if you just went to basic and that was it, and you were stationed here in America, I'll salute the shit out of you, man, because I didn't do that. And if you're willing to give your life up for me, man, that is the biggest fucking compliment of my life I could ever have. If somebody who doesn't know me is willing to go to fight for me. To come back and get treated like shit, I've got a problem with that. So that's a couple things, man, I think we need to fix in America. But I guess that list is ever growing. So anyway, I know you got shit to do, and I can rattle all night, especially when I start drinking some moonshine. So I'll be out all night drinking. So, but man, we appreciate you. Would love having you on. Hope we can do it again. Let us know some dates, man.
Yeah, man.
Me and this guy will definitely come out. We'll try your barbecue. We'll bring some bourbon.
I'm super pumped for
we'll
this
train,
barbecue
man.
rib
We'll
joint.
shoot some guns, and we'll do it right. And,
I can tell you the dates right now, man. Look for May 28th through the 31st of 2020. That's when Train to Learn is. You guys can go right to, and for you and anybody else that's involved in the mission of freedom whatsoever, right? If you're involved in a mission of freedom, whether it's podcasting, writing, producing gun content, you're a firearms instructor, you got a gun club, you own a gun store, you make products, or whatever you do, Train and Learn is for you. All right. That is the event that I put on. And I don't know how much you guys know about Train and Learn, but Train and Learn is the event that I put on to literally help all of us become better at this mission of freedom. Right.
Yeah.
So we're teaching people how to control the analytics. We're teaching people how to understand media and marketing. We're teaching instructors how to instruct. We're giving people tips about how to make better videos. We're helping people understand how to get in front of a camera, because that's not everybody's strong suit, right?
Right.
We're teaching people how to do that. We're teaching them how to be motivated. We're giving them resources. We're teaching them about sponsorships and what you should look for and how you negotiate those deals. And I'm not the one that's doing everything. I bring in all these other smart people, and I put them in a space, and they share their knowledge and their information. And then we get out and we run guns. So it is the only event that you can go to. It's the only event of its kind. But then when we get out to the range, you spend a day in a classroom. And when you get out to the range, man, you're going to get 5 instructors in one day.
Oh, wow.
That are going to walk you through what they do and how they present the gun. So next year, with same instructors we have this year, we got Ken Scott with Prevectis Group. We got Dustin Pluth with Team Springfield. Rob Pincus with the PDN Network is coming out. We got Jason Johnson, known as Pro Knife Thrower, that's going to come out and teach us about edged weapons and throwing knives and all that kind of crazy crap that you boys in Kentucky be doing and shit.
That's what we do.
Like, we're going to do that.
Throwing knives and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
We got Ursula 308 coming from law enforcement out in Arizona, a woman that's coming out to run the range and show people how to run a rifle. So it is the one place you can come to get all that knowledge. Like, it's like speed dating with instructors, right? In one day. And then the last day is collaboration. So you get to collaborate, take all that information and collaborate with all these different people from around the country, right? To have content, to be able to put things out, and to unify with each other. So not only is it a great event, it was the most diverse event ever. Like, if you look at that, it's so diverse, it was beautiful, right? And it gives people the boost that they need. And we do all that, 3 days of that fantastic training. It'll be $350 for 3 days of that.
And we're fucking there.
And we feed you twice.
Barbecue.
We feed you twice. So
what are you feeding?
Yeah, man, it is something to see, something to do, and it is the way that we get to do this in person. It's the way that we get to look at each other and say, all right, yeah, we believe in freedom, dude. I get it. We do. Cool. And I get that I came here and I learned all about how to grow my business, how to be better, how to network with people. I got all this great content. But one of the things that goes unseen is the fact that guys from Kentucky, guys from Colorado, guys from Missouri actually get to sit in one place, and I don't have to argue with you over a screen. I get to say, hey, man, who are you and where do you come from? What do you do? What's life like? Right? Yes, really get to know you. So when we leave, we not only leave with tools to equip us to grow and be better, we leave with a knowledge of one another to allow us to be more compassionate toward the struggles of other people. And, it's a win-win-win. And we get to shoot 50 cows and Tannerites off the side of the mountain.
Shit,
so
you had me at Tannerite, but
I've never shot a 50
I look
cal
forward,
before.
man, to shaking your hand in person. If it don't happen before then, will definitely happen in May. That's an event that me and this guy can schedule. And we'll be there, man. That's something we'd live for. So if I don't get to run into you face to face before then, definitely in May. But let's link up on this again, man, and do it again. We appreciate your time, everything you've done for us. I'm gonna yell at you about one of those pistols, and dude, we appreciate the fuck out of you having you on, man. Enjoy your time and your knowledge, man. So thank you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys and your platform, man. Thank you. Thank both of you a bunch. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kevin, have a good night, bub.